Hey guys, before this video even starts, I just wanted to thank some people who gave me some shoutouts recently. After that Pete Door shoutout, there's been a lot of shoutouts going around, but I just wanted to say thanks a lot to all these guys. Basically, East Skillium, Red South City, and Tark777. These guys recently gave me some shoutouts. You should definitely check out their channels. I mean, I don't think anybody here doesn't know these guys because I'm so new. But thanks a lot, dudes, and hopefully anybody who's new will enjoy my videos. Hey, what's up guys, it's back for Punch Game with another review. This time I'm going to do another Nintendo game, and this is one that most people have not heard of. Shatterhand is the game. It came out in 1991 for the NES, which I actually thought it was later than that, but it feels like a very late NES game. It came out after the Super Nintendo. Because 1991 was the year the Super Nintendo was released. It came out a little bit after the Super Nintendo came out, and from what I read, apparently this game was supposed to be on the Super Nintendo, but they decided to just keep it to Nintendo. I think at that time period there were a lot of companies that were thinking about whether or not they'd move on or not, but I guess since it just came out, they thought they'd make more money on the Nintendo version, but it never got too popular. Also, from what I've looked at, they had a Japanese version that they're very unsure about whether or not this was a port or not, because they don't have any kind of records or documentation. There wasn't much back then. But there's another game that's based on one of those old Sentai Japanese shows, like Power Rangers and that kind of stuff. It was called Soul Brain, and it's very similar, and there's one different level, and they're not sure which is a port of the other. I think I'm betting the Japanese one is, but there's enough differences that I can't really tell. But anyway, enough of me talking, let's start the game up. Now I'm going to show you guys the whole opening video because I think it's really ridiculously cool. Yes, you just saw a guy block bullets with his arms and then punch a robot in the face. Let's get started. Now, one of the first things you notice when starting this game out is that this character is awesomeness personified. He basically is just wearing a leather jacket, sunglasses, jeans, and these weird like leg braces, I'm not sure why. And basically, he just goes around punching the crap out of everything. He does not ever get any weapons. He just punches the crap out of everything. This guy is like if Chuck Norris, Bruce Lee, and the Terminator had a baby, this guy would kick that baby's ass. So basically, the story of this game is so ridiculously awesome. It's like the game designers were thinking that they should just throw everything that kids would like into the game and that would make it good. In any case, I'm going to put the whole story into the description box there. So basically, you're this guy, and you are moving through the levels, and per the story, you're trying to fight these cyborgs. I don't really know if the story was just kind of thrown together, but it's pretty cool. I mean, you are fighting like cyborgs and robots, and basically each level is like a new area that you're in. Another one of those typical platformer type areas, but I think in this game it's a little bit less typical because it's all set in the future, so it's got these futuristic looking areas and stuff. So anyway, as you can see, there's a little robot up there, and if you were watching, I guess, there's these little boxes that you can open up that give you symbols, like they're alpha and beta symbols. For some reason in the booklet it tells you that they're like B and L or something, even though there's clearly alpha and beta symbols. But basically, when you get them, any combination of them will give you a different robot. So every combination you can make with those 3 slots of 2 symbols can get you a different robot. And they each can do a different thing, and once you get the robot, they have their own health, so they can take damage as well. And then you'll see a little bit later on that the robot can do a couple things, like you can grab onto the robot and fly, and you can throw the robot at your enemy. And there's another cool things. I think the robot is a pretty cool mechanic, and it's cool to have a couple different types too, because I usually don't remember which one is the result of which combination, so you just kind of end up with a robot. But it's kind of bad actually sometimes, because a couple of them really aren't very effective for fighting, so you kind of get messed up. So I think if you're really trying to play this game like seriously and try to beat it, you probably have to remember which robot was what or write it down or something. I actually still have not beaten this game after all the time that I've had it. If you notice right now, I have a red jacket on, and that's one of those things you get from those pads on the floor. You have to pay 100 coins or 100 gold or whatever they're going to call it to get it, and it makes you much stronger. Each punch costs a lot more energy on the guy, and I don't think it makes you any tougher, but it does make your attack stronger. That's pretty useful. That's pretty much the only power-up this guy really gets, except for the robots, but the guy himself really only gets that power-up. By the way, I don't know if you saw that a second ago or not, but this guy just punched a bullet, and that just further cements this guy's awesomeness. I really, as far as Zelda games I've played, this is one of the most kick-ass characters I've played in the game. But anyway, as you can see, the level graphics, I think they're very good. I actually, when I played this game, I was surprised at how good the graphics were. I thought they were some of the best ones I've seen on Nintendo. I think the detail is really good, and they actually go through like shading and lots of like background textures and stuff, and I think they did a pretty good job. And one thing that's really strange to me about this game that you'll notice while you're watching me play here is that the enemies are very, I think the AI is very smart, is what I call it, because they realize that they're facing this powerhouse of a guy that can just punch through walls, and they actually run away. Some of the enemies run away from you rather than run at you. There's a couple guys, I think they're actually robots, the guys that run straight at you, and there's those guys that shoot at you, but there's these other guys with guns that are just regular soldiers, and they run away when you come near them, and then when they have a chance, or if they're getting closed in, they'll shoot at you, and I think that's really hilarious. That's one of the only games I've played where the enemies run from you like that, and I think it's kind of funny that I think it's kind of realistic, because if there was a guy walking around just like punching his hands through turbines and like just blowing out people in one hit, you'd probably just run away, and then when he corners you, you'd shoot. I think it's pretty funny that these enemies are like the scaredest henchmen ever. I mean, it's kind of ridiculous to me. One other thing that's pretty awesome to me is that this dude could just grab onto chain link fences with one hand and fight people off with the other hand and just keep climbing up. I think it's pretty crazy that this dude is this strong. There's just something about this game that just really blows me away in like how over the top they went with everything. It's basically like you're an 80s movie action hero in this game, and a lot of games, a lot of games you don't really get to be such an awesome character. I mean, there are games for those 80s movies. I mean, there's a Terminator game, there's a Rambo game, but for some reason the way this one is, it just seems so awesome to me. I think maybe it's because in the Japanese game, if this is a port, we don't really know. In the Japanese game, you were like some sort of robot or something, so maybe that's why he's just so powerful, but it's just so ridiculous. Oh, I almost forgot, there is another power-up for this guy. If you get the alpha, beta symbols or whatever to get your robot, and you get the same symbols 2 times in a row, the second time, instead of getting a second robot, as long as you still have your robot out and he hasn't died, you'll get this super suit where you turn into like this robot suit, and you can shoot this like missile thing out of your arm, and it's pretty awesome. And you're invincible during that time, and you either have a time limit or it's the amount of times you get hit. I'm not really sure exactly, but it's kind of like an invincibility type thing. I think I use it here on a boss. It's the bosses in this game are pretty cool. They're really hard, almost all of them. There are a couple that you'll see here that I actually filmed here that I think I beat one boss during this gameplay, but they're pretty hard to fight. They have crazy patterns, and like usually if you just have your fist, it's really hard. You need a robot, and then once you lose once when you had the robot, you have to fight just by yourself for the rest of your lives. So it feels like you really have to like try so hard to remember their patterns. Okay, unfortunately we're getting to a point where this is all I can show you because this is all we can fit on the video, but you should definitely check this game out. I think it's pretty awesome. It's super ridiculously hard, but you should still try it anyway. It's basically like, to me, a cross between Batman and Mega Man, and I've heard other people say the same thing. And I think it's really worth playing. It's a pretty cool game. Those robot mechanics are pretty cool, and I'd like to just know somebody who's beaten it. If somebody actually plays this game and then beats it, please tell me, because I'd like to know. I don't even know what the last level's like. I can't get any farther.